So please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so before I go into the demo, maybe just spend 10 minutes on a few slides to explain kind of our approach of using AI in education, what are the currently available tools, and then we'll jump into a demo. So it's important to highlight our trustworthy AI framework, especially since there's a high stakes of using AI in education. But we have implemented the AI tools under those five, let's say, policies. And the first one to know about is that the institution is always in control. So as we continue to develop new features and tools under the AI Design Assistant, the institution always has the control to enable or turn off any of these tools. So it doesn't have to be all features on or all features off. You can turn on or off certain tools as you like. Second point is the instructor is always in control. So those that have already tested out the AI tools, you might have noticed that nothing gets generated and added to the course without explicitly confirming that you need to add it to a course. So the instructor is always in control. In terms of copyright and data privacy, none of your institutional data is used to train our models. That's something also important to remember. So on the back end, we're using Microsoft's OpenAI technology, but the data of your institution, the prompts that you put inside the tool to generate the results, those prompts are never used to train the model. So those stay within your institution. And of course, generative AI is not used with students unless the instructor is in control of what's being used. And we also have reporting capabilities around the use of AI so that you can keep track of adoption, how it's being used, and maybe which features are in demand. So of course, structure suggestions is one of the features available in the AI Design Assistant. This will let you build or suggest learning modules. As you see here in the screenshot, it also adds an image, a title for the learning module, as well as a description. So again, the instructor is always in control. None of those are added to a course without explicit confirmation. The second tool, and again, this is very popular with our community, is the image generation. So previously you had to, even now the option is still available to upload from your device or upload from maybe your institution's, shared drive. But now we also have access to generate images relevant to our course. And this is using the Unsplash library, which is also included in your license. So you don't have to worry about any copyright use. They're already included, and you can use those images inside your course. Test question suggestions, we were talking about that before the presentation as well. You can use different question types. So that could be multiple choice, fill in the blanks, or matching whatever question type that's available. You can use the AI Design Assistant to generate those different types of questions. And again, before you add those generated questions to the course, you have the option to edit them because the instructor is always in control. So you can review the choices, maybe rephrase some of the answers. Maybe you want to change the wording of the question. So it does not necessarily mean that you have to accept or decline the question. You can take some part of it, rephrase it, and add it to your course. Generating rubric is also something that we have included in our AI tools. It lets you, suggest rubrics, and you have the option to control how many columns and rows you want. And of course, all of those are editable before you use the rubric in your course. So you can change the criteria, change the percentage of the suggested rubric before you make that available. So I just want to highlight that whatever content is generated by our AI design assistant does not necessarily mean that you have to take it as it is. You can use that as inspiration, edit it, and then, accept the final version after your modifications.
Hi, Malik. Sorry to
Mhm.
interrupt. We have a
Yes,
question in our chat.
of course.
Yeah. The question is, when generating modules, can you also generate content for the subtopics for each module?
When generating modules, can you also generate content for the subtopics for each module? Okay, so the course structure suggestions or the learning module suggestions, it will generate the learning module title, the image, and the description, but it does not generate content. So it does not create like a PDF document of that week's learning module, right? That is still not available yet. It might be in the future. I'm not sure if we'll get there, but that's a great idea, actually. And if you're aware of our Anthology Idea Exchange, I would encourage you to go and submit it on our Idea Exchange for our product team and other members of the community to share their feedback and thoughts on that as well. It's a great question. So moving on with the rubrics, discussion and journal suggestions. So again, similar to the test questions, we can also automatically generate discussion and journal suggestions. So this will generate for us the discussion topic as well as the discussion question itself. So the discussion prompts, journal activities, and helps us generating more engaging, discussion prompts. So this auto-generated discussions and journal suggestions also ties in with the authentic assessments. So a lot of the discussion when talking about AI in education falls around, um, plagiarism detection of AI-generated content, right? Like, how do we know if the submissions are generated by AI or not? And a lot of the research done so far has shown that AI plagiarism detection tools are not very reliable yet. Like they're not very consistent in accurately detecting AI-generated texts. And another problem with that is they have a high rate of false positive for non-native speakers. So it usually flags non-native speakers' submissions as AI-generated content. We have a white paper published around that research. I can send you the link towards the end of the session as well. But the reason I'm talking about it now is because our approach to AI plagiarism is helping instructors generate more authentic assessments. So by that, we aim at helping instructors create more authentic assessments by using the AI design assistant to generate assessment prompts based on the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So you can select to generate an assessment based on the create, cognitive level, evaluate, analyze, and so on. And the idea here is that we will help or inspire to generate more engaging assessments. So rather than just writing an essay, It could be talking about personal experience or, doing a certain activity, maybe recording a video. Again, just trying to go towards that more engaging, authentic assessment kind of prompts that you can use the AI design assistant to help you with those. Right. So the AI context picker, that's also a feature that we recently added as well. So before I talk about the AI context picker, something important to keep in mind is that as we're going to see later in the demo, the AI generated content is based on three things: the course title, the course description, as well as what you insert here in the description prompt. So you can type in a description prompt and it will narrow down the generated content based on the text that you enter as a prompt. But now the question is, what if I already have a document that has all the information I need to generate from? Let's say I have my chapter 1 PDF document and I want to generate test questions based on that chapter 1. I can use the context picker, and you can see here in this screenshot, it will let you select a file from your course and use that as the context for the generated content. So that means it will take that document and generate based on the information inside that document. And this is available in all of the different tools we talked about. So it could be used for the learning modules, the test generations, assessments, discussions and journals, and so on. So any question on that so far? All right. So yes, please, we have a question.
Hello, Malik. Thank you very much. The presentation is very informative. I just have a question with that part in relation to generating questions. What information do we need to give the system to help us generate questions?
Right. That's a great question, and I will go into more detail in the demo as well. But for all of the AI tools, regardless if it's test generation or rubric suggestion, it takes three factors into account: the course title and the course description. I believe those are probably coming in by default once the course is created. But the thing that you can control as an instructor is this field over here, what we call the description field. So in this box, you can add text, or what we say as a prompt, to narrow down the generated content of the AI tools. So you can, and the more you use it, the more familiar you'll become with the tools. So you can add specific keywords or give it instructions on what to generate. Type in the topics you want to generate content around, and so on. And as we also mentioned in the previous slide, we also have the option to use the context picker, where you can select a file from your course content to use that as a prompt for your AI generated questions. Does that answer the question?
That's brilliant. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Of course.
We have other question, Malik from Dr. Tanya.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Rachel. Hello, Malik. Sorry, I have a question regarding downloading the rubric or printing it, and if you have now added the option of detection of AI in any assessment or assignment that we generate, because you're adding the AI tool now to Blackboard. So what about detection of AI from other tools, please?
Yeah. So I'll start by talking about the AI detection. And again, this goes back to the research that we carried out, and it's detailed more in this white paper. But basically, to summarize, the AI plagiarism detection is not very reliable yet. So you can think of it as like, you know, the AI detection tools improve, and then later on, the AI generation tools also improve. So it's kind of like a continuous race of, you know, who can do it better, right? And at this point, it's still not reliable. It gives a lot of false positives. So what we mean by that is it flags a submission as AI generated when in reality it's not. You know, I've heard a comment from an instructor saying that they submitted their you know, their research to one of those AI detection tools and it flagged it as AI generated. So that's why the way we're approaching it with Blackboard is we're using AI to help instructors generate more authentic assessments. So it's more engaging assessments. It relies more on creativity rather than something that can be generated using, you know, ChatGPT, for example, and so on. And again, it's all detailed in the white paper. I would recommend to go through that document because it really is an important topic, and we're you know we've been discussing it quite often recently.
Okay. And what about downloading the rubric? Because usually we do like control print it, or what about downloading, having the option of downloading the rubric instead of taking screenshot of the rubric? Because I'm using it, but via Turnitin on Blackboard. So that's why, and Turnitin on Blackboard detect the AI for sure. That's why I was wondering if I can switch and use directly the one on Blackboard, if I can download directly a rubric, and I want really to have the option of detection, AI detection, for any assessment, any assignment.
Yeah. So I mean the AI detection, again, you know, there are tools for it. The reliability of those tools is in question. I mean, of course, it's improving day by day, but again, you know, how reliable is it is always something to keep in mind. The built-in tools inside Blackboard, we do not yet have an AI plagiarism detection tool. But rather, we're taking a look at it as helping instructors generate more authentic assessments to reduce the chances of students submitting assignments that are generated by AI, let's say.
Okay.
So I'm not sure about the other tools you're using. I believe it might be Turnitin.
Yeah, Turnitin.
Yeah, they probably have their own solution that does have AI detection in that, but natively built into Blackboard, we don't have it yet. And in terms of the rubrics, so I'm just pulling up a different slide deck over here. This is from one of our recent roadmap sessions, and these are the enhancements we're bringing to rubrics. They include the no-score rubric. So basically, we're adding the capability to generate a rubric without any percentages, and adding multiple rubrics on the same assignment. We understand that sometimes programmatic assessments do require that, so we're bringing that feature as well. Other enhancements include pop-out grading rubric. So you know, you can pop up the rubric, open it up in its own tab rather than just having it part of the right-hand side panel.
Okay.
So you can display it in a grid view. Printing rubric is on our idea exchange. It is a feature that's heavily been requested, to be honest.
I mean, to have it as a PDF, to have it, you know, in a good formatting, to submit it somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I understand, but it's still not available yet.
Okay.
Let me just check something. I might have it here.
Thank you very much for your support. Thank you.
No, of course. So here's something I tried, by the way, because I've been asked this question before. So this is a PDF that I printed as a test. And basically what I did was I opened the rubric and I changed the print scale to a lower number so that I would have the entire rubric in one page.
But where is the total here? Do you have the total? I can't see it.
Total grade. Yeah, so again, it's not ideal. Probably like the settings need to be changed a little bit, but that's kind of one of the options. Again, so instead of taking a screenshot,
Sure.
maybe you can print the page.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
No, of course.
And thank you for the colleague that were patient to listen to this. Thank you.
And I think that's important. It's something we're seeing quite often. So, all right. Any other questions?
Two more questions. Yeah, we have Ali. Yes.
I don't want to take time from your presentation. If you prefer that we ask these questions later on, that's fine too. Just quick question, if you don't mind. For the content, I know you can pick a document to suggest content and questions, not content, questions and assessments. But what about a video? I mean, I haven't tried it yet, but if I have a recorded lecture, for example, and I want to generate questions based on these recorded lectures, is that a possibility?
But not yet. I don't believe so. My understanding is that it will only pick up text. So if the content you're selecting has media in it, like an image built into the PDF, I don't think it will take that as context.
Okay.
So I would assume video to be the same.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. That's an interesting use case. Yeah.
Malik, can I ask one very quick question?
Of course, please go ahead.
I'm a new faculty, so how do I access that tool on Blackboard?
All right. Yeah, I think that's a good transition to take us into the demo. So, are you able to see my screen with the Blackboard course open?
Yes.
All right, excellent. So how do we access those tools, right? So let's get into that. So right now I have this demo course open. As you can see, it's an empty course, but it does not necessarily have to be. So even if I already have it populated with learning modules, I can still go ahead and use my AI tools. So as you see, I already have the usual options I have to create new modules, copy content, and so on. But now I also have the option to auto-generate learning modules. So from here, if you notice, my course is titled Fundamentals of Engineering. And even if I do not enter any description, it will automatically generate learning modules for me. So it's taking the course title, the course description, and whatever text I enter here. Okay? But the point is, even if I leave that text box empty, it will generate content for me. However, it might be too broad or not very relevant to the content that you're looking for, so it's always recommended to insert a description over here. Now, looking at the bottom for additional options, I can select the complexity as well as the number of learning modules I want to generate. So let's try 8 learning modules. And for example, if I have maybe a syllabus and it says I have those 8 weeks or 8 chapters, let me just add those chapter titles over here. And now I want to generate learning modules again. And every time you click on generate, it will just generate new items again. So you also have the option to add a prefix. For example, if we usually use, structure your course by topics or by weeks or by chapter, you can also choose to use that as well. So you can see here, when I added a description, it picked it up and it generated content based on the description I added. Right? So Unit 1, Introduction to Engineering, it matches what I added here. Unit 3, Statics, Dynamics, and so on. Okay? Now, back to the point of the instructor is always in control. Nothing gets added to the course unless I explicitly select which items I want to add. And you notice that there's no select all button, and that's by design, because we want to make sure that you go and review the items before you add them. So let's say I want to add these 3 items. Again, the instructor is always in control. By default, it's hidden to students. I can go ahead, edit it, make the changes I want, maybe change the name, change the description, rephrase it, change the image if I didn't like it, and then I can make it available to students. So those controls are available for all of the tools that we have inside the AI design assistant. All right. So now that I have generated my learning modules, I will go into my Unit 2, for example, and say I want to add my test questions. So if I go and create a new test, again, you will notice that similar as before, I have all of the options to add my questions, but now I also have the option to auto-generate questions. So if I click on this, so similar to the tool that we just saw with the generating learning modules, I have a description field. I have a complexity and number of questions setting. But since I'm generating questions, I have an additional setting that will let me select the question type. So by default, it generates different types of questions, but you can limit it to a certain type of question that you want to generate. So just a few comments here before we move on to the next tool. The complexity slider does not mean difficulty. So like having a higher complexity does not mean that the question is more difficult. I guess it's just something to keep in mind. And then if I go into advanced options, I forgot to mention this previously, but I have the option to change the output language. And I also saw a comment on that in the chat. So that's a very good point. I can change my generated language to Arabic, and let's try it out. So what that means is, even if I'm delivering my course in English or I have the Blackboard system settings in English, I can ask the AI specifically for this question or for this test to generate the content in Arabic or in any of those different languages. All right. Any questions on that so far? Yes, please.
Hello.
Dr.
Yeah.
Leonida, yeah, you're first.
I want to ask one question. Like, this is good, very nice that we can translate into other languages, but can it also translate back the translated text to, let's say, English?
Translate back. That's a very good question. So, okay, so the way it works on the back end is it generates the content and then again, using Microsoft technology, it translates it. So that's why maybe if you might notice slightly longer processing time when you use the translation function. But if I revert this back to English, if I click on generate again, I believe it will generate different questions. It will not keep the same questions, but in English. So I think the answer is unfortunately no, but that's a very nice comment, by the way. I think it's something that we can possibly add in the future. So what you're saying is I want the AI design assistant to generate the question in the default language, which is English, as well as the generated language that's selected.
Yes.
So have both versions available.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's a good comment. I'm just taking notes of that. Okay. At the moment, we don't have it, but definitely something we might consider in the future. So thanks for that. Any other question?
Yeah, there is more.
Yes. I'm Dr. Honaida. Can I speak?
Yes, doctor, go ahead.
Yes. First, thank you for this very informative session. But my comment here is we can use it in create assignment or even in the discussion. I have experience in this and I use it already. But in fact, it's not like when we create it by ourselves, because AL, it is not feel the student. We can feel the student and we can feel their levels and we can feel that if this assignment they can do it or not. In fact, AL it can give you very in details, very nice. It organize it in يعني let us say the very smart way. But when you create it by yourself, you know what you do, and if it is achieve the course outcome, and if it really help the student to understand the course outcome. And if you can let me, for example, show you, can I share my screen?
Yeah, definitely. Do you mind if we keep that to the end of the session just for the sake of time? Is that okay?
Only, and I want to show you how if I want to compare between when I depend on AL to create, for example, discussion for a student in the class. It can create it in a smart way and really facilitate it. And but when I create it by myself, I feel the student and I feel their level, and I feel that how they can understand the content, and even if I need them to apply or to analyze. He. By the way, I know that the L can do that because there is many options of analyze or apply or even more options. But only this because it is really, but really it facilitated. Yani facilitated if you want something quickly, especially analyze. Maybe it is smart more than what we do. That's my comment, and thank you very much.
No, thank you for the feedback, and that's an important point as well. So the way we're adding those AI features in Blackboard is mostly as a way to inspire instructors and help them save time, right? Like we're not, adding this so that you won't have to create questions on your own. But rather the opposite, right? We want to always make sure that you review those questions, make your modifications, edit them to match the your learning outcomes or the students' levels and so on. So yeah, no, a good comment. I agree with that. But other questions?
Dr.
Yes.
Sana?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Malik, for this informative session. Actually, I'm usually using the AI tools, but it's not on the Blackboard in generating the case studies because it's hard to create case study for each time. So it's all based on the prompts that we gave. So my question is, can we export the questions from the Blackboard? Because these questions should be answered online. But if I want to give them those questions, not the close, even the open-ended questions. So can I export them?
We have added the option to print tests. Is that what you're looking for?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So
yeah.
we can print them, but if I want them on a Word document, for example, or any type of document, so that I don't reprint it again. I know that we can print them, but if I want to modify them, to elaborate, to just to modify it.
I'll have to take that question offline. I'm not really sure if there's a way to do that other than the print test option.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, like as a quick workaround, there are online tools that convert PDF to Word. So maybe that could be a solution. I'm not really sure. I haven't tried it, to be honest. But yeah, I'll take that question offline. Any other questions?
Yeah, Ali, please.
Yeah, just another quick question, hopefully. You mentioned the complexity, and I'm not sure if this can be answered by that. The English level for the students, like when you're writing the questions, is there a way to control the English level or the complexity of the sentences when generating these questions?
I think the complexity level does change that. So if you have a lower complexity, I think the question, not necessarily difficulty, like not the knowledge of the subject will become lower, but maybe the wording of the question is less complex. So,
Okay.
so let's try to lower the complexity and see how that reflects.
Right.
Right. So
Sunrises in the west.
yeah, it's kind of less complex questions, right?
Yeah,
And
so it's actually the complexity of the questions, right?
yeah, went down, right? And maybe they're not very relevant to what we're talking about engineering anymore. And that's when we have to use the description prompt to ask it what to generate, right?
Yeah. All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Saad, please. You have question, Doctor? Dr. Saad or Dr. Al-Rabi?
Yes, I have a question. Thank you, Rachel. I did not hear exactly the latest part of your because I just came now because I have another meeting. But I noticed that you are using translation into Arabic. So is it possible? I'm teaching Arabic for non-Arabs. So I have to generate the question in English too. So I'm writing it in Arabic and then I'm translating it into English so that they can understand more or better. Is it possible to use it in the same page here on the
Yeah,
Blackboard?
so right now, if you change the English to Arabic, it will translate the questions into Arabic, but it will not give you the same questions in English. That was a comment that you had earlier as well.
I heard it. Yani it's not possible to go back to English means that.
Yeah, no, not yet, no.
Okay. So
So if I go
if I
back
have
to
to write
English,
if I have to write it in Arabic, it will maintain in Arabic, or in English it can be translated into Arabic, but not both of them there.
yeah, so basically what I'm saying is, okay, we generated in Arabic. If I select English and generate again, it will not translate them to English. It will generate new questions in English.
So is it possible later on to have this option?
I mean, there's always enhancements being done. I will talk at the end about our idea exchange and walk you through how you can submit those to our product team.
Thank you very much.
Right? Yeah, of course. I appreciate the feedback. And as you noticed, my questions changed when I changed language because every time I click on generate, it creates new questions for me. So one last comment from my end is, if you notice when I added more description, for example, around statics, static analysis, the questions that are generated are more relevant to static analysis and those engineering concepts. Concepts of equilibrium forces and moments in engineering design. So again, that falls under static analysis. So that's why I always say the more you try out the AI design assistant, the more kind of confident you will get with it, the more you'll have a better understanding of what type of description you should add, how much you should add, and so on. So any other questions so far? Okay. So you notice here that I selected 2 questions to be added. Again, I'm always in control. I can edit this before I submit. I can change the number of points it has. And I can also go back and add additional questions to my test. So the test does not have to be only AI-generated questions. I can add my own questions, and say, you know, I want maybe 5 new questions. Let me try the AI tools to generate those 5 new questions. Okay, so just something to keep in mind that it can be a mix of both. And of course, everything else is still the same. Your assessment settings are exactly the same. Nothing changed around that, except that the questions themselves are generated by AI. All right. So another way, or something like another tool we talked about is the you know, authentic assessments, right? So if I go into an assignment, or, you know, before I do that, let me just create a document first, okay? Let me say here, add, create document. Has anyone tried our new content designer, by the way? This is our new content designer. And as you can see, it lets you add different type of content blocks. We also have added the capability for our video studio. So inside the document itself, you can embed a video. You can upload it from your device or start recording, sharing your screen, and it will automatically add captioning to the video. We also have the option to embed knowledge checks inside the document. So lots of new features around the new content designer. If you haven't tried it yet, I'd encourage you to do so. But anyway, let me just add a few lines or a statement around my static analysis, and I will call this document static analysis.
Malik, if I may interrupt for a moment, please.
Of course.
Where did we get to this page from? I'm sorry if I missed it.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
So this is what we call our content designer. And it's just similar to before. We used to call it our Ultra document. So if I go and create new content, instead of adding a test, I will just add a document.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So, okay, now let me just go back and add a new assignment. So you can see here in the assignment, I have the option to auto-generate assignments. And this goes back to the discussion we had earlier around authentic assessments and helping the instructors generate more engaging assignments. So as you see here, if I leave the description empty, it will automatically generate based on the course title. And in the assessment tool, I have the option to generate assignments based on the different cognitive levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So you can see here, some of them were generated based on create, analyze, and evaluate. So it just generates random by default. So if we take a look at the second one, material science analysis, for example, this assessment is asking students to analyze a real-world example where the choice of materials is significant. So basically, it's a bit more engaging type of assignment. It's asking the students to highlight a real-world example and analyze it based on their understanding, you know, of significant impacts and how, you know, it will impact the performance of a particular product. So we're using AI to inspire instructors, generate more authentic assessments that are more engaging, and ultimately help reduce the use of, you know, or plagiarized AI-generated content. So let's take a look at the select course item, or what we talked about previously as the context picker. So right now you can see I have generated assignments only based on the course title. But if I go ahead and select my context picker and say I have a document which I have uploaded or just created, for example, and say I want to select this item. So if you remember, this is the document that I just created, and I'm asking my AI design assistant to use that as context. So the document was around statics in engineering. And you can see here it's asking or generating assignments based on the concepts of, you know, statics in engineering. All right, so this is how the context picker works. So it does not have to be a document that you created in Blackboard. It could be a Word, PDF, PowerPoint that you've uploaded to your course, and you can select it from here. Yes, question?
Hello, Malik. So let's say you selected the first assignment. Where does it get saved on Blackboard?
All right. So if I select this assignment, it's just like creating any assignment, right? It is saved wherever you create it in your course. So you can see here, it suggested a assignment title as well as the instructions. And of course, you can edit those before you accept it. But let's say, I want to save it as it is. And you can see here it's added under Unit 3 because when I went into the assignment, I added it under my Unit 3. So I went here, I selected Create, and then I selected Assignment. That's why it was added under my Unit 3. But, again, you can move it around, right? Like,
Yes.
it's flexible in Blackboard. So think about it as any other assignment tool that you're used to, but the only difference is the assignment itself is being generated by AI. But the interface, the settings, how you create it is all the same.
That's very good. Thank you.
Of course. So now if I go into my assignment settings, one of the settings is I can add a grading rubric. So of course, similar to before, I can use one of my available course rubrics, create one, but now I can also use the AI to generate a rubric. And again, similar to before, I have the description field, but now I have different settings because it's a rubric. So I can select the number of rows, number of columns. Let's say I want it to be points-based. And again, if I add it to my course, I have the option to edit all of those fields before I use it in my course. Okay, so let's say I click on Continue. I have the option to edit the points, the description. I can add a row, add a column. So everything is modifiable and editable before I use it in my course. Is there a manual for using the AI tools on Blackboard? Yes, we do have a help documentation, which I can discuss towards the end. All right. So any questions on the rubric generation? Okay. So while we're here, for example, if I click on View Rubric, this is what I was talking about. So instead of taking a screenshot, you can go into Control P, like print the page. And if I go into more settings, those are the settings that I was talking about earlier on to answer the question. Like if you change the paper size, make it A3, change the scale, try to zoom in or zoom out. Play around with those settings. Eventually, you'll get to a point where all the rubric shows out in one sheet. Change this to portrait. Something to keep in mind. Maybe that will help until we release a feature to print the rubric. Okay, so moving on, the last feature or tool. So I'm not going to talk about the discussions and journals because they're similar to the assignment, right? So if I want to generate a discussion or journal, it works the same way as generating an assignment. So I'll just skip that for the sake of time. But the last tool we just added, and it's something I'm very excited about, is what we're calling the AI conversation. So the AI conversation is a new engagement tool that we've added, and basically it's the first AI tool we're introducing to students. So in the AI conversation, you can define a persona, set instructions to the students, and make it available in the course. And then the students will start to have a conversation with the AI persona that you defined. And it's based on Socratic questioning, so the conversation can keep on going on back and forth. And the idea here is to expose students to AI in an ethical way, right? Because the instructor is always in control, The instructor can view the transcript of the conversation, and it also helps the students kind of evaluate their understanding of a certain topic. Like if they're having a conversation with AI around, a certain topic, they might figure out that there are certain points that they still haven't clearly understood. Or also another point here is that because we all know that the AI is not perfect, right? Sometimes the AI makes mistakes, sometimes the AI gives false information, or what we call as, hallucinations. And in this case, it's kind of a good thing if that happens, because we're exposing the students and teaching them of how AI kind of, works and how they can use it. So we're taking the AI to the students in kind of like an educational concept and then making sure that it's used ethically. So this is the first part of the AI conversation. The next step is we're introducing, I believe it's next month, if I'm not mistaken, what we call a role play feature. So in the role play, it will allow you to, set a scenario, and the students can engage with the AI around that scenario. So you can, for example, define a scenario for, the AI is a patient that goes into the ER room and they're having those specific symptoms. And the student needs to identify what the, let's say what the disease is, or, what the condition is. So you can define this role play, and the student can interact with the AI based on the parameters that you defined until, they get to the result that they're looking for. So again, I'll send you links to the further documentation as well as a demo by our product team on how that works. But this is something that we're very excited about, and it's the first time we introduce AI to the students as well. Okay. So any questions around that? Okay. So since we have maybe a couple more minutes, I just wanted to highlight the Idea Exchange portal. So if you don't have access to the Idea Exchange, I would encourage you to create an account and start submitting your ideas on the Idea Exchange. So basically, this portal is monitored by our product team, and you as a user can create a new idea or search for ideas that you can vote for them. And these are monitored by our product team, and if it gets a lot of visibility, eventually it will make its way into the product. So you can see here, you can filter by status, and notice that we have more than 500 ideas that have been released into the product, right? And some of them are for future consideration. Some of them are made it their way into planning to implement. So again, this is a very, say very powerful portal, because it lets you drive interest to the features that you'd like to see implemented. And we do take it seriously. In the past year, I believe it's more than 300 ideas from this portal made its way into the product. So all of the feedback that we got today, I would highly encourage you to submit those as ideas on the portal. Add more context to the idea, maybe your use case, why it's useful, why you'd want to see it. It'll encourage more users to vote for it as well. And you will continuously get updates. So when it goes into future consideration, you will be notified. When it makes its way into the product, you'll also be notified.
Okay.
All right. And another thing I wanted, sorry, question?
Okay, go ahead, Malik.
Yeah, just one last thing I want to mention is that we have what we're calling an ethical AI in action roadshow. So we're doing, a world tour. It's in multiple cities, and we're doing one in Dubai. The location and the dates are not yet confirmed,
yet,
but
yeah.
we're targeting mid to end of November. And once that is confirmed, you will see it on this website, and you'll be able to register. And the idea of it is, we'll have our product team, members from our senior team as well, are going to be there. And it's going to be a discussion around the ethical use of AI in education. We also have, some kind of like training that will be done as well towards the end of the day, which you can benefit from, and so on. So here's a quick look at the agenda. AI in education, generative AI in pedagogy, client case studies panel, future of innovation, and then look at what comes next, and so on. So again, once those dates are confirmed, we'll be happy to meet you there, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Malik. Is there any more questions? Okay. So you can also register this session as your PD. So you just go to our apps.edu.ac.ae, your attendance today. Thank you for joining us. And also, you can visit, we have Ultra resources in Blackboard. Oh, is there anyone not there? You can just inform me so I can add you on our how-tos document in Ultra, our resources in Ultra in Blackboard. We have created there, so you can visit also. We have just updated the Blackboard AI assistance there, so you can just check it also. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. I'll stop the recording, and I'll stay on for a few minutes. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to discuss those as well.
Thank you, Malik. Malik, I just have a question. I think the question earlier for like the video, I think the video studio